Welcome back to DESC Careers. My name is Miss V, and we are spotlights on the road once again, joining you from Dubai English-speaking college. We are out in Dubai in Al Sewi, joining Anthony, who is the managing director from MotoZone. A really special interview today. Not only is Anthony going to be talking about his career journey, but he is a fellow alumni. Welcome back to DESC. How are you today?
Hi, everything's good. Thank you very much.
I'm so excited. Mr. Drayson, 3 years on, you left us from Dubai English-speaking college, and here we are. We're at your kingdom. It's absolutely incredible. I know I have so many questions, but before we jump into it, I'd like to take you down memory lane. Back to a time when you were a student who was really interested in business and music, and I'm out at MotoZone, surrounded by motorbikes. I can't see the connection, but I love that you did. So let's talk about that journey. What was that like for you?
So for me, when I first moved to Dubai, I always had a passion for riding bikes. As soon as I arrived here, I think it was one of the first things that was on my mind. As soon as I got here, I wanted to get a bike, I wanted to ride. And really I went out, I bought my bike, which was quite difficult, but it was an interesting experience. After that, I tried to find a company which I could go to do some training. And really there wasn't a hot spot or a good place to go. Further on from that, I found a place eventually which managed for the time being while I was at school studying. And while I was at school, I decided that I wanted to take on BTEC. So the BTEC that I took was Business, Enterprise and Entrepreneurship. And really the experience through the 2-year period was absolutely incredible. It was probably the most hands-on lesson I could have taken. You know, we studied how to do marketing, we studied how to manage a business, how to start up your own business from start all the way to finish, from thinking of the idea to producing your product and then selling it to the market, which was the school at DESC. And for me, that was really interesting. I loved doing it. I loved working with my colleagues as well, that we were starting up the business. We all put in equal amount of efforts to make this a successful thing. Really bringing that to now, it was really practical. It was really hands-on. We learned everything, and it helped me be able to find out how to market myself within the community of the riding community and into the open market for our tours and people coming in from abroad. It also helped me to be able to find investment and investors and how to negotiate with them to be able to, make my dream come to a reality.
I'm listening to you now, Anthony, and you're a managing director. And I know that watching this right now, we will have young people, our students and students across the country, listening to you and saying, how did he know that that would be important for him? Would you say that as a student, you were as invested in your studies as you are today? Or is it now upon reflection that you're looking back saying, that was the most incredible learning experience for me. BTEC really was incredible, but I only now am able to connect the dots.
Yeah, I think I could see it while I was doing it, that it was going to be really practical and it was going to help me a lot. But it wasn't until now that I look back and reflect on every stage of the business that I've gone through, the transition from just the basic idea all the way to where we are now. All the time you can reflect back on thinking, you know what, that did help in that lesson, or marketing did help in that region, because the strategies that we were taught in school is not, it wasn't easy to learn then, but now you think back and you go, really, that helped a lot.
And from what you described in my interviews with professionals, every entrepreneur out there probably listening to what you just said is saying, oh, I wish I could have had lessons like that, because we know that entrepreneurs jump into projects and some of the entrepreneurs don't always have those key skills. So would you say that any student thinking about BTEC might be also thinking about being an entrepreneur, but they might not really know that that is something that they could be doing? Do you think they should keep their minds more open and not just think like a student taking a subject, but be really open to the opportunities, just like you, and what could come from their learning?
I think that definitely if your idea is eventually at some point maybe doesn't even have to be as soon as myself, but maybe later on down the line, if your end goal is to start up your own business, then I would definitely recommend it to everybody.
When did you know that you wanted to start your own business? When did the idea strike?
I think at a very young age for myself. I've had family members, they've owned their own businesses and run their own businesses. And for me, it was, an eye-opener to myself that, that's what I wanted to do. And I don't regret it at all. It's not the easiest of things to do, and it takes up a lot of time. It's not as, laid back as some people might think. You own your own business, so it just runs easily. You work 24/7, you work really hard, but as long as you're achieving your goals and dreams, then it doesn't matter. And especially if you've got a business, like for me, this is a passion, so it doesn't even feel like work.
Amazing. Okay, take us to the journey from graduating. What did you do next?
So from graduating, I was also stuck at that time thinking, I was at a bit of a rough spot. I didn't know whether I wanted to carry on and going to university. I didn't know whether I was actually going to be staying in Dubai or if I was going to be leaving. So everything was really up in the air and I had no clue whatsoever. And it was almost kind of something overnight that happened and it was like, this is what I want to do. So from that point, the ideas came, putting plans in place and just putting in the foundation for the business to grow on top of that. And it took quite a long time actually to bring it to fruition, to actually come up to find investment. We had to put big plans in place, especially even for the facility where we are. When we got this place, this was just sand where we're sat right now. And we had to put in proposals to the landlords here to be able to make sure that, for us, it was doing a business in a safe manner, considering a sports extreme, putting business plans in place for investors. And that was probably one of the most difficult things. It's not the easiest of things to do, but if you've got an idea and you're passionate, I think people will feel that and they'll grow on that with you as well.
Do you know, sometimes when I when I do my spotlight interviews and I interview professionals from every age group, we're telling the story of success. Very rarely will I be able to meet someone in the journey of the challenge. So here you are, and what we don't want to do is skirt around some of those challenges and make young people think it's as easy as it looks, because we know that's not true. Can you take us through some of those evenings when you might have been doubting some of the choices that you made? What were the keys to keep you resilient? What did you tell yourself, or who did you surround yourself by? Because it's important that young people understand that the journey won't always be smooth. Even if you went a different path, there's always a little bit of bumpiness along that journey. So what was that like for you?
I definitely had plenty of difficult stages, and I still do now, almost on a day-to-day basis, where you face challenges that come towards you. I think with development, you learn how to deal with them in a different way. But definitely I came across some points where I doubted the fact of me even starting my own business, the doubting that if I made the right choices to actually, is this what I wanted to do? I had a few stages of difficulty, things being delayed. We also had COVID come at a very inconvenient time for us. We started the business in January 2020, on the first day of the year as well, thinking that this is going to be our year, this is going to be the year that it's all going to happen. And a few months later we got locked down, and from that point we didn't know where it was going to take us. So we just started a business, I just got all my investors involved, and doors are closed and we had to stop business. And that was probably the hardest time that I had myself. And it was a real struggle to be able to get over that point, to still believe in yourself, still push towards making things happen. And through the lockdown period, we worked hard at putting strategies in place to, conquer that, come back and fight to be able to make it happen. And opening the doors again after we had lockdown, it was difficult. We had months and months because the lockdown period happened and then it came into the summer period. And summer here for us, it's too hot. We're an outdoor sport. We can't do it in 50-degree heat. It's too much for us. So until the end of summer, it was a really big struggle. There was almost half a year of trying to make things happen. But with perseverance, we actually did come over that bit by bit. Our storage unit started to fill up because we stayed passionate here, and that's what really mattered, and other people could see that.
What does passion mean to you?
Passion means believing in what you do, believing that you're doing something different and you're doing something to help the community or the environment.
How does MotoZone do that?
So we've just recently started a foundation where all of our community riders that come in every week or every so often, they bring their own gear. So maybe they've got a helmet they don't use anymore, or some body armor, or some boots even. They can bring them here to us. We'll box everything up, and we've partnered with 2 other companies. So all of the kit that's unwanted or not used, for them, it might be, even enough to go in the bin. But for other people, that's something that's almost brand new to them that they don't have the privilege of having. So we box everything up. We work with a company called Send It, and we send all of our kit to South Africa. And there's a foundation over there where it's promoting riding in a safe manner for kids and for the next athletes of motocross, giving them an opportunity. So it's not just for us, but also for our community. Everyone feels like they're coming together to being able to help people in need.
And where did that idea come from? That very often when one goes into opening a business, they're so overwhelmed with everything that has to get done. Where in that vision did you sit down and say, community engagement is important to MotoZone? It's important that we do have a sense of giving back and have that community responsibility.
For us, it was probably one of the main things that we did. We give back to our community every weekend by organizing a group ride for anybody. It doesn't even have to be our own customers. It can be people from outside who have their own bike, quad bike or buggy. They come to us. I put my tour guides out. We don't charge for it. The only thing we charge for is a parking fee. It's 30 dirhams, and they get their bike washed, they get to use our facility, showers, they get free water, coffee, and so the actual ride itself is free. So that's my way of giving back. And in return, it gives back to me because it builds a community together where they trust you and they want to always come back to you, even when they want to do tours or training.
So I'm looking at you now thinking, 3 years ago, you were walking the corridors of Dubai English Speaking College, and you were a student, not quite sure what to do next, probably hearing lots of your peers saying, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. And you were sitting in front of me, a managing director, and it's iconic, and you meet some of the world's most incredible riders. How did you manage to become an influencer in this field, and how do you connect with motorbike riders from around the world?
It all started when we had the team manager from Yamaha racing team come out to visit us, and they just came for a ride out into the desert with us. We did a big tour for them, and for us it was one of our first big tours as well. We did 4 days of riding. This was about a year and a half ago now, so quite earlier on into the business. And we took them out. They loved it, and from there, that's when everything started. So the Yamaha racing team then decided that they were going to start basing themselves from us, and we had the whole team here. They were all training from here, servicing their bikes and everything. And that was at that point that we decided that this could be another venture for us to go down, and a way for us to make ourselves more exposed in a more professional environment as well. We've had some people like Sam Sunderland, who recently just won the Dakar Rally Championship. That's a 12-day race, and it's a very intense race. We had him come out here, and we had almost 100 riders go out into the desert at one time, which was the biggest ride that's happened in the UAE. From there, we've done last November, we did a race in Abu Dhabi called Abu Dhabi Desert Championship, which is in Liwa Desert. And it's a 5-day race. I sponsored a rider to go there ourselves under the name of MotoZone with some of our other sponsors that we use here at MotoZone. And We did the race, and it was also another opportunity for us to communicate with other people, with other teams, and just get them aware of us here. You know, we are a very unique facility here. There's nothing like it for motorbiking over here in the UAE at all. So for them to try and bring them in here to get them to see the place, it's a good eye-opener for them to see it as an opportunity. And now in the next week, we've got a rally team called Hero who's coming out here, and we're working on a few more to be able to bring them across to us.
So I love that you mentioned there's nothing else like it here. And often when I speak to young people, they'll tell me, Miss V, there's nothing like that here. How do I do it? How did you do it? How did you convince investors, listen, there's nothing like this out here, but I believe this is worth it?
Yeah, that was a struggle. That was a difficult time as well. You know what's good in your own mind, but then to project that to somebody else and project the passion that you have it's a difficult one to do. So you've really got to persevere with it. You've really got to believe in yourself before you push something out to other people for them to believe in you. That's really important.
What's the trick to believing in yourself? Because sixth form students are really scared, and very often they're filled with doubt and fear. And no matter how many times a teacher, a parent, a guardian, a friend will say how incredibly awesome they are, for example, we know that young people are really hesitant. How did you, or what's your secret to building confidence?
That's also a difficult one, because I was also that sixth form student that didn't even believe in myself. I didn't think that I could make things possible. And for me, it was not until the point that I started getting things back and realizing that, you know, what I'm doing is right, and if I do things in a certain way that will actually bring me success, that it's possible. And it wasn't until that point. So I've been doubtful probably for the first year of business, and in some areas that are new for myself now that I'm experiencing as we're developing the business more and more, I still get doubts through that. So it's not something that goes away completely, but you just learn to manage it better. Fantastic,
I love that. And we can translate that into any environment. For a student right now studying for their finals, we could translate what you just said. You just have to kind of keep going and persevere. Okay, talk to us about some of your highlights. I'm looking at you and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, such a young man. So many highlights. For me, I'm also thinking of the pride and joy of our institution to know that you are here celebrating, and I'm sure that your parents are feeling the same. What would you say have been the most incredible highlights for you over the last 3 years?
There's been so many of them. I think looking back, it's been really empowering to be able to achieve the things that we have. I think some of the most important ones for us were when we got our first sponsorship, which was with Karcher, they're a pressure washing company, and they came out here to MotoZone, and I spoke to them through the place. We showed them, you know, how the business is working, and they loved it. And that was our first sponsor that we had here. They came here, they gave us a pressure washer, they've, you know, supported us in racing, and that was a really important time for us. Coming along from that, we've also got another sponsor called ORS, who are a hydration company, and they also support us massively. They've got some amazing ideas and plans in place for Dubai itself, and those were one of the most important times for me, to know that it's not just customers that believe in us, but other big companies, you know, ORS and Karcher, they're massive companies all over the world.
How do you sit down at business meetings? Is your age ever a barrier? Because I know that will be another reason for a young person to think, well, I can't do that. Who's going to take me seriously? I'm, you know, pitching at investors. Miss V, I'm too young for that.
Yeah, I think it was a really difficult one. I've struggled a lot with the age gap. It's had its difficulties at times, but it's just proving yourself and your knowledge and your perseverance with things that people realize that, you know, actually age has got nothing to do with it. You know, I think in the modern world, we're getting more and more younger generation of people becoming business entrepreneurs of their own, doesn't matter what scale it is. So it's becoming the new thing. And now myself, most of my employees here, they're all young. I think the eldest one is 30 years old. So everyone else is a young age. And it proves to people that it is possible and you can do it. And to our communities, we're dealing with people on a regular basis, aging from, mid-20s all the way up to 50, 60 years old that are still riding bikes. And they absolutely love it because they see that we're passionate.
Anthony, you're a managing director. You describe yourself as someone who opens up possibilities, takes opportunities to grow the business with other companies and to make MotoZone well known. What do you do that nobody knows you do, but it's kind of behind the scenes to being a managing director? Because students will think, I want to be a manager. I don't want to be entry level, I want to be a manager. What is it that they don't know about being a managing director that might not be as glossy as it seems?
I think one of the most difficult things as being a manager is you realize the work that goes in by your employees and the people who work below you, and they work hard, and if you're good at managing, you'll push them to work hard. But sometimes they'll never realize how much work you put in yourself, and that can be quite difficult at first because you might be putting blood, sweat and tears into a project that you're doing, but there's still people aren't realizing it. But it's only going to be yourself that realizes how hard you work. And it's completely different to working as an employee. You work your own hours, you put your own hard work into every single project that you do, and 9 times out of 10 you have to push yourself. You've not got anybody else pushing you.
Where did music fit into the equation?
Music was from actually my mum. She was playing clarinet for many years, and she actually, when we lived in Spain before, she opened up a music school there. So for me, that was every single time after I'd finish school, I'd go straight to the music school and I'd be playing every instrument that I could get my hands on. And for me, it was another one of my passions along with riding. I enjoyed music a lot. I think it would be something that I'd like to get back into, as I've dropped out a bit since the business, and I had to drop many things starting up the company itself. But it's always been a passion. I love it. It's a good way of, expressing your feelings and being able to get away from the world.
What did music teach you as a business entrepreneur?
Perseverance. I did my drums until grade 8 on drums, and without practice, without repetition, without going through the strategies of how to play, how to conquer each song that you're doing to be able to perform, I think that teaches you a lot of knowledge for actually applying it to a business.
Amazing. So going back, the young Anthony who enjoyed business and music, is there anything you wish you could have done different?
I would probably say I would have paid a bit more attention in school. I think that would have been really beneficial. And there's still subjects now that I think I could have worked a bit harder on, and it would have done me a lot of benefit. And looking back at it, I would have focused as much as I could.
Fantastic. I'm going to take the cue of what's going on in the background as us needing to come to a wrap with this. Anthony, it's been an absolute incredible morning for me, being able to sit down and have a conversation with you. Thank you for joining us.
It's been amazing having you here.
Thank you. And that brings us to a wrap. Welcome back to DESC Careers Spotlights on the Road with Dubai English Speaking College. Today we were speaking with Anthony Drayson, who is the Managing Director of MotoZone. And we will see you all at our next Spotlight on the Road.